Hello everyone, so today I want to talk about how not to give up. So I don't want to get demonetized because of the fact that this word is in my thumbnail, this word is in my title, this word is in the first 30 seconds of my video, but basically how not to give a shit, okay? So I think one reason why I really wanted to make this video is because I know so many people who give up so easily, and I think it's not because they give up, it's because they care too much. They are either like very critical of themselves, or that they just feel like they don't deserve whatever they're trying to get. And I just want to kind of use my methods of how I've been able to just keep on persisting to get what I want and what I need. I know there's a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, but I actually am not talking about that book. And I guess in some cases my video will probably allude to a few things, but I'm gonna be talking about my personal 5 steps I take. And it's like not gonna be like a fluid 5, it's not gonna be like exact 5 steps, it's just like the fluid way of like how my brain thinks when I try to do it. Because I think I have a lot of things where I'm just like, go at it, I don't care about it, just do it, okay? And it's so funny because when I was actually recording a few videos with Derek, like literally right there on my couch over there, after he just filmed his, we saw a stark difference between our videos. So if you want to check out the video over here, it was actually this video where he realized how different our filming styles are. He is very like, say it in this exact way. For me, I'm just like, move on, have a story, move on, and then if it doesn't work out, repeat myself, and then not get too like wound up like, oh my god, I messed this up again. I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do now? It's always really important to be flexible and also try to know, what do I do now? Like the important part is getting up, not actually in the process of getting down, because knowing that it's gonna fail, they always want to go in thinking that it's going to succeed, and it's just a matter of when you do fail, what do you do to get up? For me, I think for one of the main reasons why I was able to do a lot of what I'm trying to do is like, I don't like to give up. I think a lot of people who do end up giving up though, it's because they either care too much, they are very self-critical about themselves, or they just feel like there's just so much against them, and because of that, they just give a fuck, you know? They care a lot. But for me, I'm like, my benefit is actually I don't care enough, and it's a good thing because even though I do care about the big grand scheme of things of what I'm trying to do, the goals I'm trying to go for, the plan I'm going for, the actual motions of it, I don't really give a fuck, okay? There's so many failures I've had, a lot of failures that I've had. For example, if I got a 30% on my Chinese exam, I'm not just gonna be like sitting there in class crying and wallowing away and basically forget the fact that I have 6 other classes ahead of me. I'm gonna go to those 6 classes and kill it. I'm gonna forget about that Chinese exam, but what I'll be doing immediately are these 5 steps. This is just an example, but these are like general steps I take for anything. Like for example, if a YouTube video flops, or if maybe I want to do something out there like a job interview and that flopped, or maybe that I want to go on a date and that flopped, or that I wanted to go do so many different things and they just flopped because I'm just not used to it, or I just don't know it, or I just don't know if I like it or not. But at least I just go through the motions of it. There's a few disclaimers and I'll leave that at the end because I think it's very important at the end for me personally, but this may or may not work for everyone. This just has worked for me a lot. The first thing I do is that I acknowledge what happened and I figure out why I failed. And sometimes the reason why I ask that is like, maybe it's not you that failed, maybe it's something else. So for example, if you were to go on a date and you're like, this is my 10th time I've been stood up, but then how come this 10th person stood me up? Well, what if they actually were in like a subway delay, and then I don't know, something happened on the subway and now they cannot make it, and then because of the fact that they were underground, they could not contact you and say they were gonna be late or that they couldn't make it. Something like that. Like, it may not just be you. Don't think about it as like all these other external factors are the reason why you fail. Sometimes it's other things. Vice versa, you don't want to always kind of like just place it on someone else. You also want to know like, what can I do with the situation? So this is where I'm like, what are the controllable factors and what are the non-controllable factors? Let's give you the situation of my Chinese exam. So the 30% on my Chinese exam What are the controllable factors? Controllable factors, I could probably study better. I could probably take better notes. So when I study better. Another thing I could do is I could go to extra help. I can go meet up with the teacher outside of class. I can go build a study group. There's so many different ways I can go about it. Or maybe I can just study more and study better. Another one could be like the exam itself. You don't know what's gonna come up on it. However, you can prepare for what could be on it, okay? So you get my drift here, where you're controlling what could be controlled and you are controlling factors around the uncontrollable factors. That way you are prepared. You're not gonna be like exactly prepared for word, question by question. You'll be prepared for the exam, and then all you have to do is just bring out everything you know and do well on it. Another one could be a diet. Like, you never know. Diet could actually be one reason why you can't recall well on an exam. Maybe have a good breakfast. You can control that. So have all of these different things that you do and experiment to be able to do that. To be honest, Chinese is not my greatest suit. I'm still doing Duolingo now because I forgot a lot, and I'm trying to communicate to Addison's parents who speak Mandarin, and I'm Cantonese. I'm not even good at Cantonese either. I'm a failed Chinese basically, so. A lot of that, I just know that there's a lot to work on, and these are a lot of things that I would do. I wouldn't be like, I got 30%, what's that gonna do in my GPA? What am I gonna do for my next 6 classes? I fail in Chinese, therefore I fail at all these other classes. Actually, I kind of cut that thought immediately. The moment I get the exam, I put it away. When I actually do prepare for the exam, or when I start preparing and do my homeworks, that's when I reevaluate and go like, oh, why did I get these wrong in the first place? That's when you're analyzing your controllable factors. But there's also a lot of non-controllable factors that are also just as important to look at. And I don't like it when people say, because of this, how will I know what's gonna happen? Like a pop quiz, you can technically control your outcome of a pop quiz by controlling the non-controllable factors of preparing ahead of time. That's like a system you put in place. You put some systems, maybe it's like particular behaviors you want to encourage to be able to work on that. So that is something you can do to help both ways, and eventually you'll get a better outcome. One thing that I think is really important of this process is, what do you like? What are the benefits out of it? Because if you just keep on churning work, eventually you're gonna be like, what's the point of doing this? I'm just doing this for the grades, or I'm just doing this to get views, or I'm just doing this for the money. But you also want to know, like, are you at least doing something you like? Because if you were not doing something you like, what's the point? Okay, so you want to make sure you enjoy the process. I know a lot of people don't enjoy studying, but for example, for me, back then, I just did not appreciate it. I did not even think about this, to be honest, of like why I like Chinese. I actually kind of hated Chinese because they had to do traditional, and it was just so difficult, and there was nothing I can do to practice because everything at home was like in English or in Canto, but barely any Mandarin. So even if I did want to practice, I couldn't. But on the other hand, right now, the benefit for me now is that I can communicate with Addison's parents, and actually each time I try it, and I was like, wow, I can actually communicate with them. And because of that, it just kept on motivating me more. For that reason, there's actually some kind of motivation factor. I'm not just doing it to do it. But some people like to just do it for the motions of learning something. I also appreciate that too, but sometimes reminding yourself of like, what are the benefits and why are you doing what you're doing is just as important to keep on going. Now the question is like, what do you do differently? So this is where you want to look at all those non-controllable factors and all of those controllable factors and see what you can do. Build a plan. And this is where I always like to do a plan A, B, and C. Not everyone's going to be like this on every single thing because they just simply don't have the time. But just knowing that in the back of your head is like, if I flunked this exam, even if I tried as much as I can and I only got a 50 and not a 30%, what could I do? Because now I need to raise my grades, right? So what you could do is like maybe talk to your teacher about if there's any extra credit projects, or if like maybe there's like a bigger project out there that is something that's much more up your speed, you could focus on that. Or you just kind of like know that Chinese is not for you and you drop it. I think it's really important to know you either need to improve, you need to do something different, or you just need to drop it completely. There's so many different ways, and it's really hard to know what exactly is going to work for you until you do it. But I always like to try before I give up. So in this case, I would try something differently. I've tried, maybe I want to try to do a study group, and then I realize the group is not for me because I just get so distracted, then probably not good for that. There's just so many different ways you want to change things up, see what works for you. If all of those still don't work, then you want to pivot. Maybe Chinese is not for you, maybe French is. Now you can probably go to your, I don't know, your guidance counselor and then change your class. this is generally like what I would say is giving up on Chinese, but it does not mean you're giving up on a language. I guess it depends on your goal. Is it to learn a language or is it to learn Chinese? For me, it was to learn Chinese, so I just kept on going. But eventually in college, I learned Korean, and that also didn't do well. So my guess is that I just don't do well with languages, but I'm not giving up. I'm still doing Duolingo. I'm still keeping up at it. It's just at a different pace. Sometimes it's just this environment of school is not beneficial for everyone. I personally don't like school, but I do like what comes out of it, like the opportunities, the experiences. I just don't like studying. I don't like exams. I just like learning. That's a little bit different, I think. And people are just not really good at exams all the time. So now after all of that, you can probably see, when do I give up? I think a lot of people like me actually struggle at knowing when to give up, because I just keep on going at it, and maybe it's just something about me and not about whatever I'm doing, but sometimes it's something about what you're doing that actually does not work for you. So for example, you want to do a YouTube channel and you really hate being in front of the camera. Like you literally just can't even talk, like you're just stumbling here. Maybe video is not for you, but at first, like, you want to try it out because it's going to be something uncomfortable, because it's something different than what you used to do. I actually hate being in front of the camera. Like whenever my friends and family want to take a photo, I'm just like purposely making me look awkward, because if I try and I don't like it, then it means like, oh, I don't like how I look then. But if I make myself look awkward like this, and I'm like, oh, I look ugly, it's because I put myself out there as ugly. I'm like, okay, that's fine then, because I intended it to be like that, right? But when I started to do YouTube videos, I'm like, this is so vain. Who would want to listen to me? Who would want to watch me? No one cares about this content, right? So no one wants to look at me. I'm a 25-year-old Asian woman in New York City. Why would anyone want to listen to me? Why would they want to talk to an older white male, like 30 years in the industry at consulting? They probably would listen to them, right? But it's a little bit different because the branding is a little bit different, the messaging is a little bit different, and for that reason, you want to know what works for you and what doesn't work for others. And vice versa, what doesn't work for you and what works for others. You want to be actually clear with yourself that like, okay, maybe video is actually not for me then. Maybe I could do podcasts. I don't have to do video, but it's still audio. I'm still delivering the same goals and messaging that I want to do, but I just don't want to show my face. You can still do that too. I think it's really important to try everything out first before you completely give up. But even if you're like, oh, there's so much work that I need to do to be able to do X, Y, and Z, then try it out at least. Like, but I think a lot of times people are like, oh, if I tried harder, then maybe it would be better, or maybe I tried better or smarter, it'd be better. But a lot of times you're always gonna get those regrets. But what's important is like how you get out of it. What about it did you like about it? For example, my videos here, I only start liking doing videos because now I'm like more personable. If it was an audio, then it's like not as personal, and I like the personal aspect of reaching out to people. I don't like videos because just like people are watching me, I'm like, oh, I'm so self-conscious, but that's just like how I think. I'm like, I don't like knowing people that are watching my videos. I just like knowing that they watched it. Like if people take Instagram stories or Snapchats or videos or photos of them watching a video of me and my face is on there, I feel really weird. But I know I put the content out there for them to see, so like why would I be like that? But sometimes it's just things like that. But at least I did it because I tried. But it's something that I perfected over time. It took me about a year to get to this point where I'm so comfortable. I think like even before then I was comfortable, but it's just a matter of a different way. Like now I need to know, like put my makeup on, maybe put a little bit more effort. But in general, like for example, Derek, when he was trying to do these videos and he just kept on rehearsing, he's gonna get to that point where like after he just constantly does it, it's just gonna become like memory. Like it's gonna be coming naturally. For me, I'm just like, I already forgot the camera's here. I'm focusing more about what content can I deliver, what kind of messaging can I deliver. So like I mentioned before, I like having a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, but not everyone's gonna have that. But for me, the reason why I don't like things like this is that there's uncertainty, or that I don't know what's gonna happen. But having a plan B or C or D is that like, okay, if maybe studying at the library doesn't work, maybe I'll study at the gym. Or maybe instead of studying at the gym, I'll study outside. Or maybe I need a louder environment. Some people like, you need to see what works for you. Maybe I should study at a coffee shop. Oh no, I'm running out of money. Coffee shop doesn't work. Maybe I could study at home with music on. There's so many different ways. But for me, like usually for me, the plan B, C, D is like, I'll try it out for plan A. If this doesn't work out, I'll maybe decrease the frequency, or I'll change it instead of a video, I'll do a podcast. And I'm actually doing something right now where before I did 2 videos a week and I did a podcast episode every week, and I was really burned out. I wouldn't say I burnt out. It was just I did not enjoy life as much anymore. I just did not have that much free time. A lot of it was just like churning out and then send it out. But this time around, I want to focus on quality because I'm realizing that I'm not getting as many numbers and my audience retention is not as high as I want it to be. What can I do differently? So I was thinking like, okay, I could focus on fewer videos, but better videos. So that's what I'm going to be doing now, experimenting. You have to constantly reinvent yourself. That was my plan C, to be honest, plan A and B. I don't know if it works, but you never know. If plan C works better, it may not be the goal, not the best goal that you want, but maybe it actually ends up working better. So I'm just gonna keep going at it. It's always more important that you just keep on getting up and you keep showing up. Okay? If you just kind of give up and you're like, whatever, I'm just gonna do less because I'm gonna be less, it just means that you're giving up. If you're showing up differently, in this case, I'm putting in more effort in these videos, and in this case, I'm doing fewer videos, then I'm showing the same amount of energy. But if I'm just like, oh, fewer videos I need to do, perfect, I don't need to worry about it then it's a different kind of attitudes. It's a different type of mentality. And that leads to my last step, value your mental health. Really important to kind of analyze yourself and like, why are you doing what you're doing? Do you like what you're doing? Do you actually enjoy yourself? And sometimes it's okay to take breaks. I take breaks all the time. I go on PTO on vacations, and that's why I completely unplug from work. I don't look at emails, I don't look at messages. Sometimes I do if it really is an emergency and it's like for a go live or whatnot. But then also I don't edit videos. I don't do everything like that. I kind of do that all in advance or all after my vacations. When we went to Joshua Tree, which the vlogs are probably gonna be up by the time this is up, or at least some of them are up. That is actually a really good example of like me just enjoying myself. I still filmed, I still vlogged, but it's still like something that's very low maintenance and energy compared to doing all this other stuff of like podcasts, YouTube videos, coaching, technology consulting community, pro bono, work, life. Oh my gosh, so much. But at least I kept on going for it, and you want to value your mental health because right now it kind of sounds like a go, 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 go mentality, but I really want you to wind down. If you don't wind down, your go, go, go is gonna be like go, 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 and you're gonna hate your life, okay? You're gonna be like, is my life just meant to work? No, you want to make sure you analyze like what you're doing. Do you actually like it? Is it actually helping you in your goals? For me, I want to be able to help other people through my content. I'm not just doing it for the views or doing it for the money. I'm doing it to help people. Am I doing that with what I'm doing? If I'm still doing that, perfectly fine. But I also need to value myself. Help yourself first before you help others. You know, like literally, this is what you are taught on an airplane. You put your mask on first before you help other people put your mask on, okay? Do that for yourself. You have to worry about yourself first and foremost before other people. Don't worry about what other people will think. You need to worry about what you think about yourself. How you think, how you feel, what you need to do for yourself. Don't worry about what you need to do for other people, because I've definitely been burnt out a lot by others and by other things that I've been doing because I felt like I had to do things for other people. For that reason, sometimes it's okay to just give up, okay? If you think it's something that you just kind of lost joy, you lost excitement over something, or maybe it was just doing it for something else, for someone else this entire time. Like for example, if you wanted to learn how to run so you can ride it on, like maybe sometimes you're just doing things for the wrong reasons, and that's around the time where you want to reevaluate and see, is it actually good for you then? Or are you doing it for someone else? Because then that means your happiness, your joy, your success is dependent on someone else. You want to make sure it's dependent on yourself. Whatever you do is whatever you want, okay? So hopefully this helped out a lot. Thank you so much everyone, and see you guys next time. Bye.